Hey, what's going on everyone? On this video, I am bringing you another frequent network engineer coding challenge, and that is the Palindrome challenge. Keep in mind that we are going to be covering the solution for this problem with no constraints. So if you want to know how to solve the same problem with a space complexity, then feel free to go to the next video on this series, which I'm going to show you here on the screen somewhere. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you do, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more content. Alright, so for those of you not familiar with the term palindrome, let's go ahead and search the meaning of it here on Google. Alright, so as you can see here, palindrome is a word, number, phrase, or other sequence of characters which reads the same backward as forward. That out of the way, let's go ahead and go back to the editor here. Okay, so back at the editor, the problem description says we need to create a program that receives a string of characters and determine whether or not the string is a palindrome. It says here that we can go with the language of our choice. We don't have any limitations on it. And when it comes to constraints, we do not have any constraints for this problem. And what that means is that the interviewer is not requiring you to come up with a solution meeting a certain limitation. Now, before we get to coding, let's go ahead and do some meta code. And if you don't know what meta code is, it's just a way for you to describe in text your approach to solving the problem. And this is not only going to help you ensure that you understand what the problem is, but it's also going to give the interviewer a chance to give you any hints, just so you are on the right track. So let's go ahead and start doing that. This is going to be our very high level simple meta code here. User inputs a string to the program, and then the program evaluates the string and return a Boolean value, be it true or false, if the string is a palindrome or not a palindrome respectively. Alright, so let's add something else here to our meta code, which states that we need to pay attention for non-alphabetic characters. Okay, so now that we understand the problem, I'll go ahead and start coding the solution here. And once I'm done, I'll come back and explain it in detail. Okay, so this will be the solution to our problem here. So let me go ahead and explain it in detail so we all follow along with what I did here. So starting at the top, I just went ahead and created a basic function which is going to take an argument, and that argument we expect it to be a string type argument, which we are going to perform some operation on to eventually confirm whether or not it is a palindrome string. So within the function, I defined two variables. The first one is the f underscore string, and the f in this case stands for the forward string. You can name it whatever you want. So this variable, it is going to contain a stream of characters, which I am actually putting together using the join method. And to the join method, I am passing a simple list, which I am generating through a list comprehension. Within the list comprehension, I have a conditional statement here, which is only matching either characters that are part of the alphabet or numbers. And those are the only types of characters that will be part of the list that I am eventually passing to the join method. Now, in the case of the next variable, which I name r underscore string, this will be the variable that will contain the reversed version of the string. And we are performing almost identical operation here using the join method and passing a list of values through a list comprehension. The only difference is that we are using a trick here to reverse the list that we are going to pass to the join method. And this is going to help us have the R string contain the reversed version of the first string that we have on the F underscore string. So finally, we are going to perform a basic conditional statement here using the if else. In the if section of it, we are going to compare the F underscore string with the R underscore string and see if they are equal. If they are equal, then we are going to return a true value. If they're not, then we are going to return a false value. This section here is what's gonna help us know whether or not the string is a palindrome. So now that we're done with the logic of our code, the only thing pending is to create a few test cases and test our code. But before we do that, let me show you a website which I use to get the palindrome examples from. So I went to this website here called the examples.yourdictionary.com. I'll make sure to leave a link in the description of this video in case you want to go there and grab a few examples. So for our test cases, I am going to include at least 2 single word palindrome example and at least 1 multiple word palindrome example. And then just to make sure that the function does work, I am going to pass some random strings that I expect to return a false value, which are basically not palindrome strings. Alright, so let's go back to the editor and start defining our test cases here. Okay, so for our test cases here, we are going to go with a basic method of creating test cases, and that'll be using a simple print function. So let me show you how to do that here. Okay, so now that we have a few test cases here, let me explain them real quick before we go to the console and test our code. So the first test case here, it is going to pass the value of Anna with capital A, and that should return a true value since that is a palindrome. In the second test case here, we are passing a combination of numbers and letters, and that also should return a true value since that is also a palindrome. So in the case of the third, we're only passing numbers within a string, and that is also a palindrome, so that should return true. The fourth test case here, it is passing one of those multiple word palindrome examples that we got from the website, and that should return true. Now the final test case here is going to be a random string that I pass to it, which is supposed to return false since it is not a palindrome. Now let's go to the console and test our code, just to make sure that we are getting the expected result here. Okay, so now at the console, let's make sure that we are in the correct directory where we have the palindrome.py. Alright, and that's the case. So let's go ahead and test our code here. Python palindrome.py. Alright, so here we got the result. We got 4 trues and 1 false. And that is exactly what we expected. So based on what we're seeing here, this is a proper solution to this problem and something that you can code very fast during your interview. Please note that we didn't have any constraints such as time or space complexity on this problem. So that might be different on your interview day. So just ask your interviewer if there is any constraints that you need to take into consideration before you come up with a solution for the problem. Okay, so before we wrap up, if you are interested in knowing how to resolve the same problem with a space complexity added to it, click on the video that you'll be seeing on one of the corners here. Okay, so that's a wrap for now. If you enjoyed this content and like to see more of this, please be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next one.